Do I look okay lighting wise? Because I don't have a light on in here.
Yeah, actually,
Okay,
it looks bright and natural.
cool.
Okay.
That's my brand.
That it is, sir. That it is. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Ming Huberwald, Director of Strategy at Propane.
And I am Alec DiTanto, our Director of User Experience.
And today we're going to be doing one of our healthcare website assessments, and we're looking at myfertilitycloud.com for a company called Fertility Cloud. And so as we begin, we take 5 basic prompts and we review homepages of websites. And so our first question, and my first question for you, Alec, is how do you think this website does as far as initial positioning? And it's telling us what they do, who they're for, why do they exist.
Totally. Honestly, at first blush, even just based on the URL, I kind of imagined that Fertility Cloud or My Fertility Cloud was kind of more of like an app, honestly, or like a full service end-to-end platform. Like, you know, I imagined like tracking and charts and sharing it with my partner and seeing it all sort of from a mobile control center or something like that.
Just from the title alone?
Just from like the URL alone, like you know, My Fertility Cloud, kind of like my Salesforce cloud or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. It all happens in the cloud. So I was actually kind of surprised to find out what they did, you know, right. Through reading. It took me a little bit of time to get there. You almost have to find out what they do through this context of how it works, as opposed to just really clearly understanding we do testing, medication, or consultation, testing, medication, and then what the fourth aspect is. So it took me a little bit to kind of discern that. There was a lot of reading involved as opposed to sort of like more visual, glanceable kind of thing. But at the end of the day, like, do I know if it's for me because of this? I really loved how simple it seemed. Like, I like that there was like, it's women and couples, or it's men. Like those sort of user-centered buckets really came through. That kind of helped with, you know, me understand the positioning aspect of, hey, it is for me. So yeah, I mean, I think that overall, it's definitely the content is there. I think it could be made a little bit faster to get to that clarity on exactly what it is, you know, exactly what they do. But it's definitely on the page if you spend the time reading.
I totally agree with all of that. I did also really like it's for women and couples or for men. And what I think they could also improve on is what part of the journey they serve people on, whether you've already been to a fertility specialist, whether you're just beginning, you know, we handle it for women and couples and men. Like, so just a little bit more of, you don't have to have gone anywhere else, or like this could be your first stop or this can be your third stop. You know, I want a little bit more clarification on that, just so people can continue to say like, oh yes, that's me. Oh yes. Oh good. That will help me. And just, you want to give those people reasons to be like, oh, I need this surface. Oh yes. And that is me. I do fit into that category. And of course, people will probably fit into a category of women and couples and men, but you just want to make sure that you're giving people the easy, fast, digestible ways to say, oh yeah, that's for me. So I totally agree. Cool. And so moving on, what brand perception does the homepage deliver? If we're talking about visual design choices, photography choices, tone and language choices, what's the presentation of brand perception? What do you think people are getting from this?
Honestly, this is a hard one because I'm a little biased just because of the industry we're in. But I really got and this doesn't happen often, like I really got the perception, hey, this is new, this is modern, this is digital first, this is a startup. I like immediately chunked it with the Airbnbs or Better Therapeutics or Forward or One Medical, kind of new challenger or disruptor brands. Like they kind of hit some of the trends, you know, from the standpoint of, you know, visual design. It was clean, it was modern. They're using a serif font. They're doing these sort of solid color backgrounds to real life visuals like medication or people. They, you know, The stock choices don't feel too generic, even though they obviously are maybe a stock photo of a doctor. They're very warm, very welcoming. It feels, a little more sophisticated. It will speak to a millennial audience. It feels authentic. It's not going to, the BS meter isn't going to go off the charts right away through like tone. Tone felt friendly and it felt friendly, but also expert, which is it's a hard line to walk. So all in all, I mean, I think the perception it delivered and how it delivered it felt kind of spot on for where they're at, or at least where I see them at.
I agree. I think the on-trend thing, with the design choices, the sort of modern layouts, I color choices as well, color palette, I thought was really nice.
A little on the nose, maybe, with like
the
pink
blue and
and
pink.
blue.
Yeah. I kind of got there and then I came back. I was like, you know what? I like it. Just own it. People are doing this because they want a baby. And yeah. I like that. I like that subliminal setting up for it. I think that's great. I think it breaks a little bit. That modern, clean sensibility breaks a little bit, and especially in the middle of the page, if you roll down when you get to the video section, right? And so I think the design is awesome. I think right here with just like the production quality of the video, I think it looks, and even this whole design section with the 2 columns, I think it breaks the sort of modern sensibilities of digestible content.
It's funny that you pointed out this section, because I immediately saw this section and I thought, oh, this feels like a landing page after I click on an Instagram ad for a lesson that someone's trying to sell me, or like an online class someone's trying to sell me on digital marketing or something. It feels right in line with where that's headed these days, of like, put a video up there and just get people to watch the video. That takes us to the next one. So why should I care? How is this homepage explaining the benefits and the value that can be provided? And what do you think about how we might improve that?
If you roll up to the part where it says telemedicine, right above this, yeah. I think this part I'm sort of split on this part. I think transparent pricing, that's a really clear hit home thing, especially for people who are navigating fertility options. Transparent pricing, I think, and medication delivery, that makes sense. Telemedicine today is pretty standard, but I love what they've done here about saying a busy and unpleasant clinic. I love that they've set up that their service in juxtaposition to the standard and to the norm. I think that's really nice what they've done. And so I like that they're educating people about, we're this, but the alternative is blank and it's so much worse, right?
Can I do so? Actually, I don't know what this will do to Zoom. I almost wanted to see what this looked like on mobile. I'm going to pull it up on my phone real quick. I think in a mobile first environment, I just wonder if maybe the desktop isn't optimized and it's almost worth looking at from that level.
Yeah.
Because I agree totally. I love the way that they frame themselves versus the competitors in that way.
And I think they could do even more of it.
It's so lost, and it's.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could do even more of it and bring that up to a higher, more scannable level. And so things like in-home testing, make sure that you're using qualifying terms like simple, easy to understand. I think the in-home testing in itself is good, but I want to just, in the language choices, just make sure that you're promoting your ease, your convenience, the fact that there's as much guidance as you would need. Ultimately, I think they could use, throughout the site, I think they could use better qualifying language, because they're like, you can meet with one of our board certified physicians. Board certified is just like, I am a doctor and have the ability to practice. But like, why aren't they experts? Why aren't they positioned specifically? Why aren't these all positioned as simple, convenient? I just want those things to come up a little bit more, and so I think they do a good job starting, but I feel like that could be pushed.
Yeah, I think that's where we kind of start to see the facade. Like, they did a really great job of, like we said, being on trend, looking the part.
Right.
But you start to see a little bit behind the curtain, even in terms of things like happy patients. And healthy babies, and just like are you really measuring happiness in that patient for 200 plus people? And how are you doing that? And
Right.
is that a marketing statement you're allowed to make? You know, to some degree, like I just think that there's certain in like US board certified, like that being such a basic expectation about what a doctor should be.
Yeah.
So where just how do we
Right.
sort of like update that? I totally hear you.
I do like though that 300 plus pregnancies, 355 healthy babies. I do
Yeah,
like that. I do like those quantified statistics you
totally
can
agree.
grab onto. But I think the opposite of this section is the section down below that you called out earlier,
Hmm.
which is like, this is, look at this right now. It is 5 blocks of text,
Yeah.
right? There's no scannability. There's no value prop, header. Like, this is
Mhm.
about how we're going to save you time. How is this how we're going to save you money? This is how we're going to let you have more reps in, because we will make sure that your budget is taken into account, or we'll, whatever it is. Like,
Hmm.
we don't, like, you're expecting someone to read the entirety of each of those paragraphs to get the gist. Give them the
And
gist.
then draw the right conclusion you want them to
Exactly.
walk away with. Let's name
Exactly.
that conclusion and
And then
then give
and
them
then
text maybe.
precisely,
It's a fair
you know.
point.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's what I think. What about anything else you want to add about showing the
I to-
value?
I was just gonna say I totally agree from a value standpoint. Like the advantage, like I honestly feel like maybe this advantages is one of the more useful sections in terms of glanceability, speed to digestion. I like the stats. That's all great. It's starting to make a case for me. But one of the things I realized in this value conversation is they're not really selling me on the need to fertility track. It feels like right now this site is just supporting the earliest of adopters. It's like the people who have a fertility issue, know they have a fertility issue, and are already planning on actively taking care of that fertility issue, and they're just going to choose this instead of one of the competitors. And
I
maybe
think,
that's okay for the size
yeah,
they're at. And
exactly.
I totally will throw that out there. But at the same, and so like really, then the value proposition here is skip the clinic. Like
Exactly.
that's really the value proposition, and you don't find that until you're kind of in this one telemedicine block,
Right.
and your whole positioning of the page, or the whole sort of that differentiator or that value proposition isn't in Welcome to Fertility Cloud. You know, it isn't the first thing you're hitting me with. And
Right.
so then it's kind of like maybe we need to laser target in a little bit more to get the value
All of the
clarified.
expertise, none
Yeah.
of the hassle, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? Whatever that
Yeah.
big idea is, there's no big idea,
Hmm.
right? That this whole thing is driving towards, as to a why Fertility Cloud as opposed to everybody else,
Yeah. Yeah. So all the content's there. It's not just under an umbrella. It's
Right.
not under the umbrella to always, every time you tell me something new, I'm not in my head pinning it back to that one thing. That's the most important value I'm going to get that says, okay, I'm going to hit this book now button.
Right. And so, is the homepage providing a narrative that answers questions that push people down, like, towards that conversion funnel? And in this case, conversion is making an appointment, right? Calling in, making an appointment. Anything notable? Like, how is it being done? How are they pushing you down? And anything that you would add or improve?
I think it's really clear. How it works is great. I love the step-by-step options. Looking at it on mobile, like I did really quickly, it feels nice scrolling. I like having our advantages. I like all the sections you have to your site. I think they're out of order for the narrative to some degree. I think that we need to, and I think it's too much reading. I think there's too much text, and we need to get to the point faster, and we need to be more confident in the points that we want to make. And then ultimately, like, if you're telling me the right story, if I am kind of putting this together in my own way, if you tell me the advantages first, which are really like just the features here, and then tell me how it works in more detail, and then sell me on like part of the why you is your video here as well as these advantages here, and then give me the pricing at the end of the page. I just feel like I might be more willing to just get to that price, use the video to really trigger me or push me over. I just think the narrative's a little bit out of order. And then if I do actually get to the bottom of the page, I'm greeted with this, which does not feel like I'm going to convert. This is like, whoa, I took a 180 into a different brand, a different identity, a different visual language, probably a plugin to Zendesk or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that But if you do go to the book appointment experience, oh, this feels like it's going to be a conversational marketing type form. Okay, so this does feel in line with the brand I was just reading
Yeah.
about. So I just think there's a little bit of tying this experience into the bottom of the homepage potentially, and maybe styling that for other form or dropping it and putting that behind a link click. You put this on the homepage so it's all one page.
Right.
That kind of thing. So yeah, I think the narrative's there. It's out of order, and the reading is burying the lead a little bit, and then we just need to make sure that we stay on brand through important conversion points, and this is that point, and this should be on your homepage, not that other form.
Right. And so if you head back to the
Yeah.
main page, if you head down, I think there's lots of places to book an appointment, right?
Oh, definitely.
Which is great. And
We
I
kind of
think,
have it at the end of every
yeah,
section.
and I think that's great. And I think ready for the answers is the right question to ask. Although I think this treatment of a CTA is a little underwhelming, right? If this is the one thing you want people to really do on your site, I think this could be treated a little bit more specially. And I think the promise should be greater. But I think in order for the promise to be greater, you have to set up as the challenger sales model would say, the rational drowning or the emotional drowning, right? Is that figuring out the world of fertility treatments and consultations is a sea of endless options, each more expensive than the other. You're not selling the difficulty to present your easy option, right? You're not painting the picture throughout the site to say, we have a better way. It's not all like you are plagued with this question. You know, you have this ultimate goal. You are plagued with these questions. To get answers is expensive, and it's not always the right avenue. Let's make it. We are here. The reason we exist is to make this easier for you, to get you to answers more easily, more quickly, whatever it is. And I feel like you're right. It's too much reading, and it doesn't get you down to that basic point of, and now we've set you up emotionally so that you can come here to get your answers. This is the place. Yes, you're in the right place. And it also doesn't set up that first appointment, right? So it's like, pay, what is it, $450 on the one hand, or
150 or 400.
From 150 from 400, right? And so set up that first appointment a little bit. What do you get after that first appointment? What are you paying for? And so it's a little bit features as opposed to benefits when it talks about in that 150 and 400 module. Tell me what you're going to have at the end of that $400.
I guess that leads us to, Kim Ming, what's the biggest move you think they should be making on this site to kind of turn up the dial, whether it's for conversion or whether it's scale, whatever it might be?
I would say have the conversation. I think it's a little personality-less in copy throughout. And I would say make it more conversational, work that discomfort and that living with the unknown, and further position yourself through your language and your headlines, further position yourself as a partner to help you get through that discomfort of the unknown, to help you get to answers. And that in addition to all the sort of design tweaks, updating the video, the titles, just improving the scannability. I think it's really the language and having that conversation and really it's the emotional sale. And you're not selling fertility treatments. You're selling hope, right? You're selling the possibility of having a baby. You are selling hope. And so like, it isn't of anything. This is absolutely an emotional sale,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And so find the emotion in it, have that conversation, have the human conversation.
That's great. Since you said that was actually mine. I don't want to say the exact same thing. So what I'm going to do,
apparently,
I'm going to give you, and I think with all of that conversation that you're talking about and the emotion into the sale, we have to get more confident in what we want to say, in what order we want to say it, which means reducing the text and really testing this with users and watching those conversion rates either go up or down and trying some different configurations of copy and how we message those ideas to people. So, I mean, I think the biggest move that they could make is do what you're saying, but then do it in a process that allows you to strategically and intentionally develop hypotheses and iterate quickly so that you can actually start to see what the right answers are from, human-centered feedback, and get them the value as fast as possible.
Absolutely. And to be fair, this is far better structurally with content strategy, far better design wise than most of the sites we actually look at. So they've already been thinking about some of this, but I think some refinements will really help.
Absolutely.
So thank you all for joining us for this homepage assessment in the healthcare space. Once again, I am Kim Ming Huber-Wall, Director of Strategy at Propane.
And I have been Alec DeTonto, our Director of User Experience. That's how all the Brits sign off on their YouTube channels. So, hey, I've been. So that's what I'm doing.
Because you are an Anglophile? Is that why?
Maybe. Or maybe it's just because I only watch British guitar videos. So it's just habit at this point.
Perfect. All right. Well, since you're such a pro, what can people do if they would like to hear more from us?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you get notifications for when a new homepage assessment in the healthcare space goes up from Propane.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much.